There's something about stepping into an old bathroom from the mid-20th century that feels like stepping into a memory. The soft glow of the light bulb behind a frosted glass shade, the cool touch of porcelain, the quiet clunk of a metal handle turning. These weren't just rooms. We used them. We lived in them. And for a time, they held secrets, quirks, and comforts we've long since forgotten. Back then, bathrooms weren't just about function. They were little sanctuaries, sometimes splashy, sometimes simple, filled with gadgets and designs that felt modern, even magical. But as the decades rolled on, many of these fixtures faded into history, replaced by sleeker, faster, quieter versions of themselves. Today, we're taking a gentle stroll down memory lane to rediscover 10 forgotten bathroom fixtures from the 1930s to the 1960s, the ones your grandparents might have used, the ones that made mornings a little more interesting, and the ones that quietly vanished when progress came knocking. So let's turn back the clock and take a look. The high-wall toilet tank. The high tank toilet, the king of the old-school bathroom. Mounted high on the wall, sometimes 6 feet up, with a long metal chain dangling down like something out of a castle dungeon. You'd get a solid pull, hear a loud clunk, and then, whoosh, a powerful flush that felt like a waterfall in a cave. These tanks were common in homes built before the 1950s. They used gravity to create a strong flush, and honestly, they worked better than a lot of today's low-flow models. No weak swirls, no double flushing, just one proud, confident gush. But as homes got smaller and design trends shifted, builders wanted toilets that took up less space. Wall-mounted tanks were seen as old-fashioned, even a little dangerous. Imagine a kid trying to reach that chain. By the 1960s, the low-set tank became the new standard. Still, if you've ever stayed in an old farmhouse or historic hotel, you might have met one of these. And if you did, you probably remember the sound, the deep, echoing flush that said, "Yes, it's done." The bidet, the forgotten neighbor to the toilet, tucked in the corner of many 1940s and 50s master bathrooms, was a curious little fixture. The bidet, shaped like a tiny bathtub, it sat low to the ground, often with its own set of faucets. Now, in much of Europe, the bidet was and still is a daily part of bathroom life. But in America, it was seen as fancy, maybe even a little mysterious. Some folks called it the French plunger. Others didn't know what to do with it. Some even used it to wash their feet or rinse laundry socks. It was meant for personal hygiene, of course. A gentle spray of warm water, a quick clean, no need for extra toilet paper. But Americans weren't quite ready for that kind of routine. It felt too foreign, too fancy. By the 1960s, most builders stopped including bidets in new homes. Too much space, too much confusion. But if you ever toured a vintage mansion or a 1950s penthouse, you might have spotted one. Quiet, elegant, and slightly misunderstood. The medicine cabinet with mirror and light. Before smartphones and LED rings, there was a classic medicine cabinet, built right into the wall above the sink, with a mirror that swung open like a secret door. Inside, little glass shelves held toothpaste, aspirin, cold cream, and maybe a pair of Grandpa's old reading glasses. What made it special? The built-in light. A single bulb would turn on when you opened the door, casting a warm glow over your face. It was a perfect spot to shave, apply lipstick, or check for fever in the middle of the night. These cabinets were sturdy, often made of chrome and white enamel. They weren't just useful, they felt important, like the bathroom's control center. But as homes modernized, open shelves and vanity lighting took over. The swinging mirror began to feel outdated. And honestly, they didn't hold much by today's standards. No room for hair dryers or electric toothbrushes. Still, if you grew up in a house from the 1950s, you probably remember that soft click when the door shut, and the way your reflection looked just a little more serious in that old mirror. The porcelain soap dish with drain holes. You don't see them much anymore, but back in the day, every sink had a little porcelain soap dish, usually white, sometimes with blue trim, glued right to the tile. It had tiny holes in the bottom so water could drain, keeping the soap from turning into a mushy blob. These dishes were simple, but they had charm. They matched the sink, the tub, the toilet, Everything was part of the set, and if you dropped the soap, it clattered like a dinner bell. But over time, plastic soap dishes, liquid soap dispensers, and built-in ledge designs took over. Porcelain became too fragile, too hard to clean. Now, finding one in an old bathroom feels like spotting a vintage toy in the attic. Small, humble, but full of quiet history. The air vent with crank window. Before powerful bathroom fans, homes relied on windows to clear the steam. And in many 1930s to 1950s bathrooms, that window wasn't just for light. It had a hand crank. You'd turn the little metal handle, and the window would slowly creak open, letting in fresh air and the sound of birds or distant lawnmowers. No electricity needed, just elbow grease and a little patience. These crank windows were especially common in suburban homes and bungalows. They worked well, but they required upkeep, painting, sealing, and sometimes a good shove to close in the wind. As electric exhaust fans became cheaper and more efficient in the 1960s, the crank window faded. Builders wanted convenience, not character. But if you've ever taken a hot bath and cranked that window open to let the cool night air in, you know there was something peaceful about it, like the house was breathing with you. The heated towel rack, yes, they had them. Believe it or not, some lucky families in the 1950s already had heated towel racks, not electric ones like today. These were often connected to the home's hot water system, running warm water through metal bars. After a bath, you'd drape your towel over the rack, and within minutes, it would be toasty. In the winter, that warm towel felt like a hug from the house itself. These were rare, mostly found in wealthier homes or luxury apartments. But catalogs like Sears sold them, and people dreamed of them like they were space-age luxuries. Eventually, they were replaced by simpler, electric versions. But the old hydronic models? They were quiet, efficient, and beautifully built. Imagine that, warm towels in 1958. Some things never go out of style. The built-in tissue holder, not the kind you think. Before the freestanding tissue box, many bathrooms had a small metal holder built right into the wall near the toilet. It held a roll of toilet paper, like a mini paper towel dispenser. You'd tear off a sheet with a satisfying rip, and the cover would snap shut. It kept the roll clean and out of reach of curious pets or toddlers. These were sleek, often chrome, and part of a matching bathroom set that included towel bars and robe hooks. But as pre-folded tissue boxes became popular, thanks to clever advertising and easier refills, the built-in holders fell out of favor. They were harder to install, and the rolls didn't last as long. Now, finding one feels like uncovering a tiny piece of bathroom jewelry, small, shiny, and surprisingly thoughtful. The cold water-only sink for summer use. In some older homes, especially in the South, you'd find a second sink in the bathroom, or even on the porch, labeled cold water only. No hot pipe connected, just a simple tap that delivered cool, refreshing water straight from the main line. Folks used it to splash their face on hot days, fill a glass, or rinse off after gardening. It saved hot water for baths and laundry, something families were very careful about back then. These sinks were practical, plain, and often overlooked. But in an age before air conditioning, that cold stream of water was a small miracle. As plumbing became more advanced and homes got more bathrooms, the cold-only sink disappeared. Everything got upgraded to hot and cold. But if you've ever turned an old knob and felt that sudden rush of icy water on a summer morning, you know it was something special. The foot bath attachment for the tub. Here's one you probably haven't heard of, the foot bath. Some clawfoot tubs in the 1930s and 40s came with a small, pull-out basin that attached to the end of the tub. You'd fill it with warm water and soak just your feet. Perfect after a long day on concrete floors or walking downtown in stiff shoes. Some even had little jets or massagers, powered by hand pumps. It was a luxury, yes, but also a sign of how much people valued rest and care in their daily routines. As showers became faster and tubs got smaller, the foot bath faded. No space, no time. But imagine ending your day like that. Steam rising, radio playing softly, your feet soaking while the world slowed down. That was self-care mid-century style. The linen closet with built-in light. Not a fixture exactly, but every well-dressed bathroom had one. The linen closet. Tucked between the sink and the toilet, or just outside the door, it held towels, washcloths, and spare soap. What made it special? The pull chain light inside. You'd open the door, give the chain a tug, and a single bulb would flicker on, lighting up neatly folded stacks of cotton. It wasn't fancy, but it was comforting, knowing everything was in its place, dry and ready. As open-concept bathrooms grew popular and vanities took over storage, the linen closet shrank or disappeared. But if you grew up reaching into that cool, quiet space for a towel on a rainy morning, you know it was more than a closet. It was part of the rhythm of the day. These little pieces of the past, these forgotten fixtures, weren't just about plumbing or design. They were part of how we lived, how we cared for ourselves, how we found comfort in the everyday. They remind us that even in the smallest rooms, there was thought, there was charm, and there was a quiet kind of love. If any of these brought back a memory, maybe from your childhood or your parents' house, we'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's the oldest bathroom you've ever stepped into? And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because every week we're opening another door to the past. Until next time, keep the faucet dripping slow and the memories running deep.